Okay guys, our next assignment doing 1 point perspective is we're going to be doing your name, your first name, and 1 point perspective. Okay, so for this assignment we're going to do it in your sketchbook or on scrap paper if you don't have that available. But we're going to take a few days to do this, and now my example is not going to really apply to any of you guys. Because I'm using my first name. You guys need to use your first name. Or if your first name's really long, you can maybe use a middle name or something like that. But, so we're going to start with a vanishing point down at the bottom. Okay. I don't really need a horizon line for this because it's not really a scene anywhere. But if I were to put a horizon line, it would be the same area where my vanishing point is. So I'm going to start by drawing my name in either bubble or block letters or maybe a combination. And you could do your line like your name kind of arcing like that if you want, or you could do a straight line, have it all nice and neat and lined up. It's really kind of up to you. I do ask that you fill your area up as much as you can with your name. So just like in the portfolio project when I was talking about, writing your names and making sure your spacing is all correct before you start, going too crazy into detail, is I would just first print it out and try to place it and arrange it how you would like it with just a simple print letter. So I'm going to start, I'm going to try maybe... that might be too big. We'll see when I get it done. So I went kind of with the arc here. I don't really care for that spacing just a whole lot. I'd probably rather center it, so I'm just going to flip over and do that again. So I've got 5 letters of my name, so I should probably just go ahead and put the M right above, if that's the highest point in my... And you don't have to do capital letters. I think that's just sort of my default that I do. And you could make this double letters, but just to get the printout, I can always bubble it in my next step if I want to. Okay, that's better. So I've got my spacing and size and placement figured out with just my block letters or my print letters. Now I think I'm going to do a combination of block and print letters or bubble letters just so that you can kind of see how to do both in perspective. So since I've got a curve in my J, I'm going to make this one a bubble letter. I don't have quite enough paper there, so I'm just going to pretend like it's continuing off over there. So I'm going to bubble my J. Okay. I'll go ahead and block my A. Remember, and I'm going to go back and erase the print, so I'll go back and sort of do that now. And it looks like I'm going to have this 8. It's going to probably come in front of my M a little bit. Alright, so now that I've erased my print, that will look a little bit better. Now I need to do kind of the inside of my A. And if you want to, if you're doing block letters, it wouldn't hurt to maybe do that second step that I'm doing with a ruler. If you wanted to make it look nice and neat. Okay, so I'll go ahead and just continue. I didn't intend for that to overlap there, but since it did, I'll run with it. I'll go ahead and make my M more of a bubble letter. I'll do an alternating pattern. Okay, so it looks like we're going to have an overlapping thing happening. You don't have to, but this is just a demonstration. So So that would make my E more of a bubble. Okay, alright, so let me go back and erase this. So again, do this with your name, your middle name, if your first name's too big, or you could do your last name if you know, just as long as it's a name related to you, and preferably one that when I grade it, I know who it is, and not just some crazy little nickname that I've never would be able to associate with you. Okay. So, I've got a combination of block and print letters here. I'm going to start with my J. So, as we kind of talked about yesterday, when we have curved objects, which I do have curved objects since I've done bubble letters on some of them, the best way to start that and to figure out where my shape goes to the vanishing point is I'm going to line my ruler up with I'm going to use my pencil as my guide just to kind of keep it there, and I'm just going to roll it until it touches. So it's going to touch this point right here. Now, also as a reminder, you're not going to let your, if you're not sure where to take it, if it's going to cut directly into your shape that you're taking it off of, you don't want to take that spot. However, mine's not going to cut directly into this shape, but it is going to bump into this one. So when it bumps into this one, I'm just going to stop my line. Okay? I'm going to just stop my line right there. But it does need to line up with your vanishing point. Okay? So with my curved object here, I will want another line coming from this corner. Alright? So J's kind of nice because it's got curves and corners kind of in both. So, again, I'm going to do this, and I'll just go ahead and take my line until it runs into my A. Okay? And my dog is barking. So, anyways, I'm going to do this, and my next spot, my next spot would be over here that I would take it. So I've got another curve. I'm going to push it up until it touches. Okay, and now that one I don't run into anything else, so I'm going to take it all the way to the vanishing point. Okay. And then my next spot would be here. There we go. So I have one more spot on my J that I would need to take, and that would be under here, because since my vanishing point's below here, we'd see the underside. If I had my vanishing point at the top, which if that's what you wanted to do, you could put your vanishing point at the top and look at the tops of all of your letters. But since I put mine at the bottom, I'm going to see the underside of all my letters. So I'm going to go ahead and, again, it's got a curve, so I'm going to just let it roll up until it bumps into that spot. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to stop it when it starts to run into the rest of my letter. Okay? So this is definitely one of those assignments I would suggest you erase as you go. Maybe you do your letter all the way, and then you end that letter, or maybe you end it a side at a time. It's kind of up to you. Mainly because if I were to do all of my letters, I would have a bunch of lines going to the vanishing point, and it'd probably get pretty confusing. So I would suggest to at least do one letter at a time and end it. Okay? So since I've got a curved line here, and I do want you to end it. I know it's going to look really cool if you don't, but for the sake of me knowing that you understand how to end your shapes correctly in perspective, I need to see you be able to end these. If you want to do another one on your own where you don't, that's totally fine. That's what your sketchbook is for. But for what you turn in, I need to see that you end your letters. Okay? So I'm going to end, just so that we can see it, I'm going to make this a little bit skinnier. not make it super thick. So I'm ending in between these two diagonal lines, so I need to mimic this curve right here. So I need to try to get that as close as I can to the original shape. Okay. So then I would erase this little bit. And then here I have another curve. I'm going to try to keep my spacing the same. I started where I ended this part. Okay. It's gonna bump into my A slightly. So I'm gonna try. I should have enough room to just go ahead and let the J finish out here. I don't think it's gonna overlap too much if I continue with that same spacing. And then I'm gonna let it curve around. Remember, do not end a straight or a curved line, a curved shape with a straight line. Okay. So I'm going to try to keep that all the same. Now I didn't need that anymore, so I erased that. I don't need this anymore. So I'm going to erase that. Remember, my heavy-handed people, make sure you hold your pencil towards the back or use like an H pencil so that that erasing will be a lot easier. Okay? So now this side, I will probably need to end it too, because I think if I left it like this and I left that one like that, it would make it appear uneven. So I think that's going to probably be pretty close to the same spacing. So again, it just depends on how thick you make your stuff. Okay. Let me zoom in a little. Maybe you guys can see that a little bit better. Alright, so now here I'm also going to end. I want to try to make this the same spacing. Now I don't have a straight line. Like yesterday on the star, or last time on the star, I kind of carried the same thickness over because there was a straight line, but I've got a curved line here. So I don't really know if I want to do that. I just want to try to eyeball it the best I can to get the thickness to be the same. And then I erase my extra. So be careful though, like it is easy for when you have these straight lines meeting up with a curved line that you could create a corner there. You don't want it to create a corner. So I'm going to try to kind of just round that out a little bit. Alright, so my J is done as far as going to the vanishing point. Okay, the next I'll do my A. I'll start with this corner here. I know, and it might not be a bad idea to determine, like when you have your corners shapes, like this is more of a boxy shape, to determine what corners you're going to take. I'm going to take that one. I'm going to take that one. I'm going to take that one, because none of those cut straight into my object. Now this one would cut into my object, so I don't want to take that one. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to even need to take the inside area. So be careful if you're doing B's, P's, O's, R's, that and A's obviously, that you don't forget to take the insides of your stuff. So I'm going to take this corner until I bump into the other side of my A. Okay. I'm not going to take this corner because it's going to cut straight into my object. I'm not going to take that one because it cuts into my A, and that one cuts into my A. I'm not going to take this corner because it cuts in. This corner, I'm not going to take it just because it actually rides along my shape to the vanishing point. So I wouldn't see that side. Okay. So I've determined what corners I'm going to take. I'm going to line my ruler up with my vanishing point and then up to the corner. And I'm going to draw somewhat lightly so it can erase easy. Okay. I'm going to come back over here and do that. Now again, if it gets confusing, you might go ahead and end this side. Or you could do a couple more and then end. I'm going to go ahead and do a couple more just for the sake of time. So this one, as you can see, I'm taking it. It does eventually kind of run into this one, so I would stop that line. However, it's almost going to look like it's continuing, so I'm not taking that one. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to take this one. Okay. And then the only one on the top, I'm going to take this one. And I'm going to take that one until I bump into the other side of my A. Okay? So now I need to go back and end it. But again, if this is too much, if this is confusing, you certainly want to end a side at a time. And maybe on my next one or my next one of the other ones, I'll do a side at a time. So now here's where we go. We're doing these straight lines, but we don't have perfectly horizontal or vertical lines because I did an arch in my letter, so I've got these angles. So in between these two lines that I took to the vanishing point, those two corners, I have a line like this. So I need to go back. I'm going to just and try to match that same angle. You can always line your ruler up and slide it back and match it. Now, I didn't really use a ruler to draw my original shape, so I don't know if I want to make my line nice and straight like a ruler. For this particular assignment, I don't think that would look right. I want to make it kind of match, but you're welcome to. Okay, so I got that. So I don't really need this line anymore. I don't really need this line, but I'm going to keep it just for until I add this line. So I've got this angle here because I'm ending this side, which is a part of this. So I've got this angle here. I can still come back. Okay, I'm going to end it like so. Okay. And I no longer need this line. I truly don't need this line anymore. So for those of you that maybe make this looks confusing, I can go ahead and erase that because I don't really need that. But that will also tell me, okay, so I'm doing this right here. Now if that confused you, you might keep that line until you end that side. Okay. So now I'm moving. I won't see the inside of my leg here. You might, if you have an A on the other side, you might see it. So it really just depends on the angle everything is in reference to that vanishing point. Okay. So I'm going to end this side now. I've got these two diagonal lines that I need to end. I want to try to make it match the same thickness. So I'm just going to have to kind of eyeball it. My letters angle slightly different on the bottom. Now, again, if I would have done this with a ruler, it would probably look a lot more neat. But I freehanded my stuff for the sake of time. Okay. Alright, and then the last thing I need to end on my J is the inside. So I actually kind of have my A, not my J. I kind of have this sort of a thicker letter than say I did on my J. And I kind of think I'm not going to really need to end the inside of my A just because of the thickness. However, just for the sake of teaching you guys how to do that, I'm gonna end it and then I'll erase it so it matches. So if my A was a little skinnier, I would end this side, because this is the corner there, I would end this side with the line matching this angle. Then it would kind of go like that. And then I would have to end it like that there. Does that make, and then you go back and erase that. Does that make sense? It just doesn't match because it's not the same thickness, so I'm going to go ahead and put that back like it should be so that the thickness looks the same. Alright. Okay, so the next one is the M, another bubble letter. So I've got curves again, so I'm going to kind of do the same thing I did with my J. I'm going to pull my ruler up until it touches, and then that's where I'm going to take that. Okay, and then this side, I'm going to go this way. Let's see, I think I'm going to have to do, because of the angle of my curve, I don't think it would look right for me to do another line here. I'm going to just go ahead and do one from that corner there. Okay. Now, that doesn't really look correct right now, but once I end it, it'll make sense. So I'm going to go ahead and end this one a side at a time for those of you that might need that. So I'm trying to, let's make this one this thick. And remember I've got to try and mimic this shape or this line right there and try to keep the same thickness throughout. So that is probably all I need to do to keep the thickness looking in sync for that. That may or may not be right. I'm going to do this, and then I think that will tell me if I need to fix that. I am going to go ahead and erase this, though. I don't need that anymore. Okay. Alright, so for this part, you know what, I do think I need to carry that up because that would make this a lot thicker than that. So I'm going to go ahead and put in, I know I'm going to need another one at this corner. So I'm going to go ahead and place that line in there. Okay. And it's really good that you're seeing me kind of have to problem solve out some of this stuff, because everybody's is going to be different, and that's kind of part of this, is that you have to kind of problem solve some of your issues. It's the thing I like about art. Okay, so this one would end maybe like that. No, then this would end like that. There we go. That's how that should end. There, that looks better. And sometimes you have to just kind of come back to an area if you're not sure. So, there we go. That's how I would end that shape. So here we're kind of in the same boat again. I won't see, since this is behind my A, I'm not really going to see where that curve starts. So the best way, if I could, I'd do the same thing I did here. I'd come back and I'd line it up and meet it. But since I can't, I'm just going to go ahead and bring this down kind of the same thickness that I've got over here. And I'm just going to try to wrap it back because I don't see it. So if you're in a pickle like that, that's how you would fix it. Alright. So I'm really done with my M. I won't see the top or sides just because of the angle it is to my vanishing point. If I had it more off to one side or the other, I might see that side or I might see that side, but since it's right on top of it, I don't really see it. Okay, it's not right on top of it, but it's pretty close. If I were to try to take anything else to the vanishing point, it would cut through my shape. Alright, so I'm almost done, and hopefully by doing these types of letters, you will be able to figure out your own letters. I'll probably do an S as well, but I'm not going to talk through these. I'm just going to do them and let you watch. Okay? Okay, I do think what I need to do here, I think I need to kind of determine maybe where the rest of my eye would be, just because I overlapped it. And honestly, guys, you don't have to overlap it. I think I just got ahead of myself a little bit and really didn't want to start over, so just gonna go with it. So here, if I determine that this would be the end of my eye, because it's roughly about the same size as that one, I would probably have a bit of my eye peek out right there, because I'm gonna probably make this eye a little bit thicker. So because I want to make it thicker, I would see that, but I would not see anything else. So I kind of did the little dots in there to kind of figure out where it would be, so I could sort of place where that would go. But then I just erase it. All right, so now I can end. Let's see. Let's determine that my eye is about this thick, because I just want it to peek out, make it look a little thicker than my M. So I've ended that. I can erase that. Okay, I've made it that roughly that thick, so I'm going to try to make it about the same thickness up here. Okay, it might be a little thinner. I think it is, so I'm going to bring that down a little bit further. There, that's probably better. Alright, so, I know I said I wasn't going to talk through them, but I'm going to talk through this one a little bit more. So on my eye, okay, I would see that one a little bit. I didn't think I was going to see that side, but that's why you kind of want to check every corner. I will see just a sliver of that side right there, okay? And then I would want to end that, so since I've got this side that's ended here, that's kind of where I would want to determine where this is. But then this here, you see how it's still angling towards the vanishing point? Okay, so I would actually need to change direction there to match the original shape. So it's going to angle, and you'll have some sides that are really narrow like that, and that's fine. Don't let that throw you off. And I need to. It doesn't really look like I'm matching the shape there. There, that's a little bit more straight than what it was. So, okay, so my eye is done, and that's kind of how it is. That the sides that get closer, like the farther out a letter is or a shape, the more of a side you'll see. The closer it gets to that vanishing point, the less of a side you'll see. That's normal. Don't let that kind of throw you off or make you think you're doing something wrong when you're not. Alright, so my final one. Got some more curves. I do kind of see the end of my E here. I think it's going to kind of go along that same line that that eye does. So it's definitely line up. Yeah. Okay. Another curve. Another curve. Okay, those actually kind of met up, not surprisingly. Alright, so I will see this side because it's farther away from my vanishing point and it's not going to cut into my shape. Okay. So this one, if I had, that should be all I see. If I had more space in between my I and my E, I'd probably see more of it back here, but I don't. And I'm going to make my E a little bit skinnier. So I think I'm going to end my E right about here. I'm going to try to get that to curve up right there on the end. So we don't need that anymore. Okay, so trying to mimic that same thickness. I've got to look kind of the curve here. I need to try to meet. Okay. And I got to create a little bit of a corner there, so I want to kind of round that out a little. There. And then same thing here. I don't have as much space here as I do here, so I may not see all of it if I'm trying to match my thickness. Okay. So again, whatever kind of curve, that E is kind of a good example. I've got a little curvy, more curvy letter there. So you just want to try to match that curve the best you can. And then I'd probably end that one maybe right about there. Maybe a little bit earlier. That was a little long. So, okay. So there is my name. And again, you're going to do your own name. And then you could do it straight. You could do it all bubble letters, all block letters. combination like I did. You could do your vanishing point at the bottom like me, or you could do it at the top and let it, curve maybe the opposite way. So this is not all you're going to do. Your assignment, you're going to also color and shade it, maybe give it patterns, decorate it. I'll post some examples of some names that have been decorated in One Point Perspective, just to kind of give you some ideas for that. But this is how you get started. If there are certain letters you need me to show you, I know I'm going to have people ask about S, so I'm going to go ahead and do an S real fast. Let me erase some of this so I have room. And then I usually get people ask about B's too, so I might do a B as well. Okay. So if I have an S, and again, it's going to kind of determine where in reference your S is to your vanishing point. So an S is pretty much a block S looks kind of odd to me, but you can make it work. But I would start with like a print letter and then just kind of go around and cap it in or encase it. Okay, so your S is all curved. So again, I'm going to start by touching the side. It's going to be more similar to my J out of all the ones I did so far. Into that circle that we did the other day. Okay, so I'm also going to do one at the top curve. And then I'm going to probably also do one back here. And yours might touch differently than mine does. Again, it's all going to be determined according to where it is in reference to your vanishing point. So I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to try to end it matching the same curve I've started with. Same thickness here. I'm trying to mimic this shape that I've got and the spacing. I'm trying to make it all the same. Now, when you kind of come into a little hook like this, it is eventually going to kind of merge in with this side, because this side is above our eye level. Remember, like if our vanishing point's below, that's where our eyes are set and everything else is we're looking up at. So this is going to eventually kind of merge into that curve like that. That's kind of where I think a lot of people get hung up on S's or shapes that have strong curves. And then here is going to kind of be the same, but it's going to curve into this side more, kind of where that line meets. It's going to kind of curve into that more. So that's sort of how you would do an S. A B, I'm going to make this one a block B, or as block of a B as you can get. Again, you've got curves here that you just need to kind of flow with. And I kind of made a B and then I just kind of did the windows on the inside. I didn't really go all the way around it. Okay, not the prettiest B, but you'll get the point. So, again, I've got my curves. And this would be similar to a D, R, or P too, okay? So I'm going to take that, come over here to the corner and take that. I have a corner in here. I should have set this off more to the side. For just this letter, I'm going to scoot my vanishing point off a little bit more. Instead of it being right above my vanishing point, I'm going to scoot this off over here, just so that you can see more where you would have to take to the vanishing point. So we've got to, I'm going to take it and touch the curve. I've got a corner down here. I'm going to take the vanishing point. Now, this is kind of what I was trying to get at. Right here and right here, you're going to have to take it to the vanishing point too. Okay? That would be the same thing for like the inside of the P or R or D. Okay? So, if I were to end this one, and if your vanishing point's above your letter, it's going to be similar. You would just take it the opposite way, kind of. But I've got kind of a straight line here, so I'm going to end this side with more of a straight line, and then I got to end the top side trying to match that curve. Okay? Same thing here. I would kind of end that, and then I would kind of end that. So it just depends on the thickness that you're doing. So if I did it that thick, I probably need to make it that thick there. So hopefully, and that's about it. Hopefully through all the types of letters I've done, you can kind of figure out the rest on your own. But if you're struggling, let me know and I'll try to help you out the best I can. You know, if we're distanced from each other. So anyways, so you are to work on that, do it in your sketchbook or on scrap paper, and then you're going to decorate it, and we're going to work on this for about 3 class days. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions.